Hello and welcome to the Barbarian Philosopher Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jerome Acevedo. This is episode 8, and I'm joined by my co-host, Leron Cavon. In this episode, we will discuss life never changing, Michael Bisping dodging Yoel Romero, Nassau discovering TRAPPIST-1, and more. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment in the section below. Enjoy the show. Anything new with you? Anything exciting? Worthwhile?
I got engaged. I don't know if I said that the last one.
No, we didn't touch on that.
I got engaged.
Congratulations,
Thank
brother.
you, man.
Yeah, man. Feeling nervous, feeling good.
I feel pretty much the same as I did before, honestly. Which I think is probably a good thing.
I
If
would
I was
imagine.
had some real shift in feeling about the whole situation, I'll probably be concerning.
You know, it's surprising just how much that is the case with everything, more or less, in life.
Yeah.
Like, I was just talking to somebody, I don't remember who, it was a friend of mine, though, about, like, being 30 now. Oh, it was this chick I used to date, like 7 years ago, and she's, maybe 8 years older than me or whatever, so she's like, dude, you're 30 now, like, you know, how does it feel to be 30? I was like, I don't feel like I'm 30, I feel like I'm gonna be 32 now in like a month or so, but point being, like, I feel exactly like I did when I was 20, just not quite as dumb. But, like, other than that, whatever I imagine feeling like a 30-year-old would feel like,
Yeah.
I don't...
Yeah, ultimately nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Except you had a birthday and the calendar changes and you might have had a party or something. But that's not really going to change who you are. And that's something that you don't realize until you get older. So now I think, like, when I'm 50 or when I'm 60, what am I going to be like? I'm going to be such a mature... I'll probably be the same dude, just with, like, a social front to make it acceptable for me to behave the way I do.
Right.
But I'll probably just be the same dude I am now.
Yeah, when I lost my virginity. Pre-virginity, it's like, oh, once I get laid, then the world will change, you know. The sky will be bluer, the birds will chirp more chirpingly, and I was like, no, you just first fighting, like everything. I think we like build things up to be these really, really big things, and then once you do, it's like, nothing really changes other than the fact that you've done X, Y, and Z, or you've crossed such and such marker.
Yeah.
But aside from that,
Yeah.
life is the same. Nothing really changes too much.
Yeah. Just take you in your stride.
Hell yeah, man. Considering or talking about changes, or returning, I guess it's a change. So George St. Pierre is now back with the UFC for some time being. He just signed a contract. I'm not sure. They haven't specified like how long he's going to be with the UFC or how many fights, but it is verified he is back under UFC contract.
That's 100% official, man.
It is official.
You can never trust the fake news. Fake news these days.
That's true. True.
If that is official, that's pretty crazy. I don't think anyone, maybe some people, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be done.
He looked like he was going to be done.
He's going on almost 4 years away from the sport, or at least away from competition.
Yeah,
it's a very long time.
Yeah, that is a very long time, and but I guess the way he retired, it was kind of like he didn't suffer a heavy defeat. I mean, his face was pretty pulverized against was it Hendricks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it wasn't like, he just looked like he wasn't really his sharp old self. He didn't seem to have that same competitive drive. But there was nothing fundamentally, I think, that made him need to retire.
Yeah. He wasn't like broken down or anything yet.
No, he hadn't. It was 1 or 2 fights. He'd been kind of just losing a little bit of his edge, and that's the type of thing that can come and go pretty quick. In my experience.
Yeah, for sure. So. The loudest call out for GSP has been from Bisping. Bisping has been saying like he really wants to go after money fights, and his next fight he wants to be George St. Pierre. And don't get me wrong, Bisping has always had a history of being game to fight,
Incredibly game to fight if you think about what happens in his fights.
Yeah. He I don't doubt Bisping's heart. It makes sense financially, but a little bit of me has to wonder if he just doesn't want to deal with those Cuban problems. If he's not ducking Romero,
yeah.
Because, I mean, that's a scary motherfucker.
I love you!
Yeah. Michael! You remember Germany? That fool is...
He's unhinged, I think. It looks like he's got a screw or two.
Yeah, he does. But, yeah, considering, how banged up Bisping got fighting H-Bomb, Hendo,
First time or second time?
Both. Both.
I don't know if he recovered from the first one, man.
Man, I mean, the second one, his face was just battered, man.
Yeah, he takes a lot of damage, man.
He does. He does. And so, considering Yoel's power and his wrestling acumen, I wouldn't blame Bisping for I'd rather just go for the bigger money fight.
Bisping, I'm trying to think of him being taken down, put on his back and beaten up. I don't think that happens that often to Bisping. That he gets taken down and beaten up.
You're right.
He usually gets just rocked. Like when he loses, it's usually because he's just been, absolutely clobbered. And it happens a lot, even when he wins. In fact, half of his wins are like that, when he's taken a big knock and he's been dropped once or twice. Silva was the same. That Silva fight was the same. He got dropped, albeit in kind of hazy circumstances. But Romero does have that.
Mm-hmm.
So if they did fight each other, look, he might persevere. He's done it before.
That's true.
But I don't know if he would be, if he wasn't intimidated to fight Henderson and Silva and some of the other big punch knockout guys. I'm not sure if he would be afraid of Romero, but who knows? I mean, Romero's...
I'll say this. Two things. For sure, part of it can also be that Yoel has a history of cheating.
Cheating in terms of?
There was the ice incident. Remember where, I forget who he was fighting, but here, I'll look it up. But basically, Yoel is... Oh, Tim Kennedy. Is Yoel Romero versus Tim Kennedy.
What happened then? For my sake and the viewers, what happened?
Basically, Tim was winning.
Yeah.
The bell rings. They go sit down, and once the bell rings for them to get back up again, Yoel Romero's team accidentally spills ice all over the floor, so that they have to then prolong the time to clean all the ice off of the floor. And then Yoel is sitting down while this is happening, catching his breath.
Yeah.
And the ref's like, all right, come on, get up. And Yoel's like, what? No speak English. Like, what? Huh? I don't understand. What do you want me to do what now? And he ended up getting like a full minute of extra recovery time and ended up coming back and beating Tim Kennedy after that. There's, of course, the allegations and the issues of performance enhancing drugs.
I mean...
He
could definitely be. That's a compliment, but still, he's built like something else, man.
Yeah, man. I mean,
a lot of those guys who are that heavily muscled do turn out to be on
something.
Yeah. Obviously,
I think he got popped before.
Did he actually get caught for it?
I believe so.
I feel like, I'm not being funny, but I feel like the Cubans. That happens a lot to the Cubans. There was a Hector Lombard and maybe one or two others.
Yeah, same thing with like Brazilians.
Yeah.
They get caught a lot for it. I think it's just a
cultural thing. I think it's standard practice and they just don't see it as that big a deal. Whereas in America, it's such a monstrous,
Yeah.
Not to say that half the American athletes aren't only in other sports, but still. Or even in the UFC, according to Nate Diaz.
Right. All these motherfuckers on steroids.
Everyone.
Let's see. Yoel Romero busted for PEDs. Yeah. So for sure, I think there's an issue with Bisping is always so-and-so, he's a fucking cheater. He's a fucking cheater.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, Bisping is always, going off on somebody for cheating. And for being on steroids. And so I could see him not wanting to grant Yoel that base just on that.
He looked pretty game when he was flipping him off.
Yeah, that's true. But then how much of that is just like, for the camera?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of it is for the camera.
All right, so apparently, Yoel Romero gets 6 months suspension from USADA for failing drug tests. Okay, so he has been busted before.
And what was the drug he was on?
And it was. It's from SB Nation or MMA Fighting. Yoel Romero gets 6 months suspension for USADA for failing drug tests due to contaminated supplements. Okay. That whole issue to me is kind of weird because it seems like everybody, and we mentioned this before on one of the other podcasts, everybody now is getting popped for like some tainted dick pills, or I have to wonder if people aren't just going out looking for brands. Like it's just very suspicious.
All I did is I take something from GSP, almost as a kind of masking.
Or exactly. It's a scapegoat, if you will. Because you look at the dude, and if it looks like a duck, it smells like a duck, it quacks like a duck.
Yeah,
it's probably a duck.
It's probably a duck. He's, he looks like a duck to me. I'll tell you that.
Man. So the point I was gonna make though is I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Bisping goes ahead and has a big fight. Let's say he fights GSP. Makes a huge payday, and he's like, all right, well, this was fun, you guys. I made it. I got my belt. I made my big payday. Yoel, go fuck yourself. That wouldn't surprise me. So I'm interested to seeing how that plays out.
But again, like, now that just thinking about Bisping, he doesn't, I don't think anyone would blame him for that. He's getting a little old. I mean, people always talk shit, but like, he's taken a lot of damage. His fucking face is a mess. So like, I can understand him wanting to, get a few bigger fights. You just really want to, at that point when you're, late 30s or whatever, and you've had a long career. He's had a long career. He's had a lot of fights in the UFC. You really want the big fights. You're not going to put yourself in there and because you do get damage. This stuff adds up. You want the big money to get you back in the ring. You want those big money fights. And if Romero is not a big money fight, I can understand him not taking it.
It's a big risk in comparison to the type of money he would get on a super fight.
And especially because, like as we said, these super fights are like a dime a dozen these days. Like every couple months you get in a super fight. Or every UFC event you're getting something that was a once a year event a few years back.
Absolutely.
So why would they take these like
high? It's the same type of thing that happened with Glover Teixeira when he came into the UFC, where fighters knew who he was, but they're like, he doesn't have a very big name, so I'm not going to make much from it. And if I lose to him, I lose to a supposed no-name guy, but he's a dangerous motherfucker. So it's high risk, low reward.
High risk, low reward, exactly.
And I feel like, the Yoel Romero situation, if you compare it to a GSP or a Nick Diaz return fight, it's like high risk, low reward.
And if he takes that fight, he has to wait another 6 months to a year to get the other one after. Like in the bigger weight classes, they don't fight 4 times a year.
That's true.
So I get it if he wants to dodge Romero for whatever reason and just take the bigger. If there's a bigger fight on the episode, if that's on the cards, if there's nothing else on the cards, then I think he has to take that fight. I don't think there's who else is in that weight class that would give him a title fight.
The only person, not for a title fight. He would have to fight Yoel. The only person I can see him doing again is a Rockhold rematch.
Rockhold, I
could see that.
I
could see that.
They're saying Ronaldo Souza is 4th. That's not a big enough name for him, I don't think, at this point.
I don't think it'll be a big draw. I think going by merit, it's a good fight.
It is a good fight.
But by financial gain, I don't think that it weighs very heavy.
No, I don't think so.
Not for the casual fan.
And not a Weidman anymore. Musasi's on a run, but for some reason Musasi Massazi's kind of a weird guy because he's got 41 MMA wins, you know, and he does have the potential to really, you know, last 3 fights at TKO, Belfort, Uriah Hall, and Thiago Santos, all good guys he's knocked out, put away. But for some reason, he's never really in contention for a title fight that I remember. Not in the UFC.
That's true.
And he has such a long career. Like, I'm intrigued as to why he's not higher up, to be honest with you.
That's a good point. I wonder if it's just if it's not an immediate presence issue, or if they feel like he's just not very marketable.
Yeah, he doesn't talk a lot. He's pretty calm, pretty tame. He doesn't have that kind of
rah
yeah,
style.
Exactly. But I think for pure MMA fans who used to watch Strikeforce and Pride and that type of thing, for me personally, I'm a big fan of him. So I'd like to see him getting up there and getting a title fight.
It would be nice. It would be nice. Also within the UFC, so apparently, according to this one of the Winklejohn coaches, the UFC has stopped sending fighters study tape.
Bizarre thing to do.
They're essentially saying, if you want footage to study your opponent, you're going to have to pay for Fight Pass. Like, we're not going to send you any footage. We're not sending you any footage. And if you want the footage that we have on Fight Pass, you have to pay for it.
Do you think there's a hidden reason why they're doing that? Because a lot of times you hear this type of thing and then you jump to a conclusion and say, oh, they're just being cheap or whatever you think they're trying to do. But then they come out and they have, well, actually the reason why we're not sending footage is because we think it gives, I don't know, whatever.
I don't know, dude. Honestly, I don't know. It seems like a really weird thing to do.
Yeah.
Let me read this. This is from lowkickmma.com. And it says, UFC stopped sending tape to fighters. Since the takeover of the UFC by WME IMG in 2016, many changes have taken place. Among some of the more controversial alterations are the dishing out of multiple interim titles and the unceremonious sacking of Mike Goldberg.
Oh, they sacked him?
Oh yeah, he's not.
I thought he just left.
No. They're like they did the same. They did the same thing with him that they did with Stitches. Stitch.
Oh right. Stitch. Yeah. The cut man.
Yeah.
Why?
Just like, dude, you're done.
They just didn't pay him?
I guess they didn't really go into any explanation. On his last fight, they didn't and thank you to Mike Goldberg for it. It was just like, done. This is your last. Just so you know, dude, this is your last fight. And then they went through.
So who's commentating now?
The last one they had. What's his name? DC. Daniel Cormier was commentating with Joe Rogan, as well as what's the other guy's name? I think it was Anik. I can't think of his last name right now.
Yeah.
I believe he was commentating as well. Dominic Cruz has been doing some work. So I think.
But if you're a fighter, you're gonna be a little bit. I like the fact that that Goldberg is very impartial. He never. I like when a commentator is kind of on the fence and just kind of is watching just as a neutral fan, But a lot of times when you get the fighters commentating, they're a little bit, you watch them and you think maybe they're a little bit tainted. Like if they're, if DC's commentating on a light heavyweight bout, then he's kind of,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He has some skin in the game. That might
exactly.
Influence, what he has to say.
But I guess they're kind of filtering to find someone else.
Yeah, it feels like they're in auditions right now.
Yeah.
So after 20 years with the promotion, Goldberg was canned from the commentary position without even a thank you. Obviously, fans were upset as Mike Goldberg has become part of the MMA landscape. Making things worse, Goldie would later reveal he wasn't even contacted by the UFC regarding his termination.
How did he find out then?
That's shady. Purging fighters like Lorenz Larkin and Misha Serkinov adds to the current feeling of unrest. According to renowned striking coach Brandon Six Gun Gibson, the promotion is also tightening the purse strings on fight footage. That's right, top MMA coaches have been denied access to fight tapes for studying. Since fighting has been a sport, watching and studying fight footage has been an essential part of formulating and planning for coaches. It goes on to list some like tweets that this dude, Brandon Gibson, puts up, and yeah, they're just like, dude, you're gonna have to pay for this now.
Yeah.
One of the potential reasons I've heard bandied about is that they're trying to crack down on people leaking out footage of fights to, you know, like free streaming media. But I don't know, man. With the way everything is, they didn't say. It was just kind of a, here's a potential reason why they may be doing this, but it didn't go too much into detail. This type of stuff is kind of making me a little bit worried for the UFC, man.
Honestly, I actually got one of the fights like in November or something. I got one of the pay-per-view fights. You were here. You were mm-hmm. We were watching it. 10 of us watching it, or whatever. And they make you do this janky shit where you sign up for the UFC Fight Pass, and you get a 7-day trial, and then you have to cancel it, and then they charge you. You know, it's one of them things. You know. Mm-hmm. You know, it's $10 a month or whatever. And I had no idea that all of this was happening. I just wanted the package.
Right.
And then like 6 months down the line, a few months down the line, I'm looking at it. And I'm looking at my bill and I'm like, they charge me, whatever, $10 a month every month. I had no idea I was even part of the contract or whatever. So it seems like they're, getting a little shady, getting a little like,
money grubby.
Sharky, yeah.
Yeah.
Be careful, everyone. If you're getting your pay-per-view, just make sure you read the fine print on that.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm starting to wonder if we're not watching the unraveling of the UFC a little bit. You know?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe it's turning into kind of like what boxing had, where it kind of lost. It just went too much to the money side, too much to the glitz and the glam.
Yeah, I mean, you consider how many fighters are starting to go over to Bellator because they can get their, sponsors and whatnot. The Reebok deal took a fair bit of money away from gyms and coaches. Now they're charging the fighters mm-hmm. and the teams to use what is really just standard equipment in the sport. And there are all these other organizations just rising. There's, Bellator. And the way things are going, like, it's making those other organizations much more appealing.
And that could be a good thing. I mean, people weren't happy about UFC buying out Pride and WEC and some other organizations too, and creating this sort of monopoly or whatever, and having all the power, and then being able to kind of bust fighters about and call too many of the shots. But I thought under Dana White, he didn't really do that. I think he listened to the fans. I mean, he did take some money out of people's pockets, but he also provided health insurance for everyone. He made sure everyone had the best doctors if you were a fighter in the UFC. I got the Reebok thing. I understood it. People had all sorts of weird shit all over their shorts. They had all sorts of weird fucking, like condomdepot.com
right.
all over their ass. And it just became a little bit like, even visually, I preferred the Reebok thing. It looked more professional for me.
Yeah.
And I got look, I get it. If you're a pro fighter, you can't just rely on, 50 grand a fight, plus you have to pay your coaches, and then there's taxes and blah 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 blah. It actually gets hard to feed your family on that. So I understand them wanting to go to the supplemental income. But I thought Dana White seemed kind of fair. He seemed kind of like he was trying to do what was best for the sport. But he's pretty much, I don't think he's out of the picture, but he's definitely not the front man of the UFC.
Yeah, I feel like Dana is more of a face.
Yeah.
I mean, to some extent that was true before, but you were dealing with basically Dana and the Fertitta brothers.
Yeah. So. And
now you're dealing with so many other people.
Yeah, actors. Freaking,
Serena Williams.
owns a part of the UFC.
It's like that pie is being split up between so many different people that Dana's influence is being minimized.
Yeah.
And
you've got the board members who are running it as a business.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is not. this is not a phenomenon that's unique to the UFC. This happens in every single industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's something, it's cool, like everyone likes it, it gets bigger, it gets bigger, it gets bigger. At some point it gets so big that it tips over, becomes a public company, and then it changes, you know? You know, and it becomes this soulless fucking organization.
That's really interesting, because that's something, like you said, you find it everywhere, where it's like after a certain point of popularity, things automatically start to devolve into the lowest common denominator.
Yes.
Right? So you think of like some really good restaurant, right? I don't know, the Fogo de Chao, or I don't know what, but some restaurant that has like really high quality food. You compare the business that they do to like McDonald's. McDonald's is by far an inferior product, but it's much more accessible and easier to get to the common person, and therefore you have a wider variety of people. You have a much larger net to cast. You look at things like YouTube or just media in general, the videos that Cash Me Outside, how about that?
I still don't know what the fuck that's about. I heard her on the radio. I still don't know what the fuck she's.
It was some little white hood rat broad was on the Dr. Phil show, and she was you know, I haven't watched the full clip, I just know the reference, but the backstory is basically she was like getting into it with her mom, and on the show she said to somebody, "Cash me outside, how about that?" And she just had this like super hood rat accent with it, and people found it, you know, entertaining.
Yeah.
But
charming.
That, everybody knows that. Meanwhile, there are like legit issues being spoken about, there are legit discoveries coming about, there are legit subjects being discussed, and not very. It narrows down, because now you have to actually. It's more expensive in that it takes more for you to understand it. Right? You have to have a inclination towards that specific subject. It's not an all-encompassing thing that everybody can get.
Yeah.
You know.
Movies like that too, I swear. I know I'm going to sound like a fogey, but I don't care. Movies are shit now. Movies are shit now, you know? Like, what? Like, think about when we were growing up, or whatever, when we had like Goodfellas and Casino and these are different time periods, 80s, 90s, or whatever. You know, Scarface and all these sick movies, and then what do you get now? Like, where are the good man's gangster flicks? Where are they? When was the last time you saw?
I don't think you can have those anymore.
Fuck.
You know, because you know, patriarchy, dude. That's toxic masculinity and whatnot.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's
you
not
know?
fair. It doesn't validate everyone's emotions. It doesn't, you know. Who gives a shit though? I want to watch that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, dude.
My fiance's seen none of those movies. I'm gonna sit her down and make her watch every single one.
You have to. You're gonna have to get one of those like torture chairs that they always have in the movie, where they like
keep their
eyes open.
Like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, exactly.
Pop the saline solution in her eyeballs. Make sure she's still watching it.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, man, it's strange. And you see the same thing with people as well. Everything devolves to, you know, the lowest common denominator. If you stop working out, your muscles devolve to the minimal amount that it takes in order to get by. Yeah. If you leave a car outside and you don't, you know, drive it and keep it in motion, it rusts and starts to fall apart. Everything.
It's nature, I guess.
It seems like progress and moving forward and growth and development and high quality are almost contrary to the natural state of things.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it only happens when it has to. Quality is only there when it has to be there. And in a lot of industries, I mean, we're talking about the UFC, but in a lot of places it doesn't. It's funny, you were talking about McDonald's. You know what, I bet in the 50s or whatever, when McDonald's started, it probably was good. Like meat. If you see McD's outside, we call it McD's in England. You see McD's outside of the States, I swear it's not that bad.
Is that right?
Like, listen, it's not like top quality food, but like You can feed your kid McD's. You're not gonna be like, no one's gonna like hang you from the rafters and be like, you're poisoning your child. Like, it's meat. It's it's a cow. You know it's a cow. You have no idea what McD's is out here. But point being that, like, as you say, standards will always drop down to the lowest common denominator if you let it. And again, if you're trying to reach every single person in the States, if you want everyone to be watching UFC, you're going to have to turn it into lowest common denominator entertainment. You're going to have to clear up certain things. There's going to be more rules. It's going to be less raw. It's going to be more glitz and glam. It's going to be more interim titles, big shiny belts, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of, as a fan of the sport and as somebody who's involved in the sport, that kind of bums me out a little bit.
Yeah.
But luckily there are other organizations who, if that does end up being the case, will kind of carry the torch a little bit for purists.
And I think that's good. Competition is always, a little bit of competition is, as we're saying, a little bit of competition is always going to be good. UFC are not going to be able to rest on their laurels and keep doing any old shit that they want when Bellator is a legit organization and other countries have, their fingers in the pie too. So I think that'll be good for the sport. Hopefully it'll save it.
Yeah, hopefully, dude. Hopefully. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, so not yesterday, I think the day before yesterday, NASA had this big announcement, and apparently they found some other star, or like dual star, whatever, that has, I believe, 7 planets, 7 Earth-sized planets, 3 out of which are within what they call the Goldilocks zone, so not too hot, not too cold, and are seeming to be fair candidates to being conducive to life. And like the way they set up the announcement, they made like tomorrow at noon, tune in, and they made it seem like it's gonna be something huge. I'm a little underwhelmed.
Yeah, you thought that was gonna be like alien life.
Well, no, I didn't think. I suspected it was gonna be exactly what it was. But it's just funny to me how like they hyped it up and made it seem like it's going to be this giant thing.
And there's equal possibility that there's nothing going on.
It's just a warm planet that's a rock. Right. But I mean, it's interesting. I like toying with the idea of people leaving Earth. I think I want people to do that. I want us to like.
I want a lot of people to leave. I can think of specific.
Yes. I like the idea because it's a depopulation option without having to murder mass amounts of people. And I think it creates an interesting. It's an interesting conundrum as to like how do you start. What becomes the moral standard? How do you start a society over from scratch? Do you, once you're gone, and then if you consider over time, those aren't going to be human beings in the way that we're human beings after a while, and so like it's just an interesting food for thought subject.
And then I think we fuck things up so much out here that in a way we probably won't have a choice for much longer. There's so many ways it can go. There's so many possibilities. Like, it could be great, it could be horrible. Like, if you watch the news now, and that's part of just the news is negative, the media is negative, and that's why I don't really watch it that much. But they like to tell you all the shitty things. So then if you watch the news, you get this world view of generally that everything is fucked. But everyone's got nuclear weapons, and like everyone's starting to hate each other so much, and there's such a deep divide between the East and the West, whatever that means. But there's all these. So you don't know how long. Then there's the environment, which the current regime said, there's nothing wrong with the environment. So you don't know how long this planet is even going to last. So it might even just be a question of survival. We might just need to go to another planet just to stay alive.
Yeah.
time is a funny thing. How are we going to have enough time to get the technology to go 40 light years away? Because it's 40 light years.
Yeah. Yes.
And, I mean, you need to basically teleport there, more or less.
Right.
So in a way, realistically, this is kind of, masturbatory. Like,
that's true.
Not like we're not going to get there anytime soon.
Right.
By any standard of definition of soon. But at least philosophically thinking about starting life on another planet is a very interesting question.
It is. I guess the other option, if they were going to do that, as to how to get there, is if you made some space station that was like where you could made a space station that was self-containing enough to the point that you could have multiple generations of people.
What do you mean?
So, if
instead of moving people constantly, you move one batch and then just start all over again.
Yeah, and so obviously 40 light years is not going to be like a 6-month trip. Like you're probably going to have a few generations of people on that ship.
Can we just put this in perspective? Like, I think most people know what a light year is, but what is it like? It's like a light year is how long light takes
to get right.
No, sorry, how far light will travel in a year?
Yeah,
that is insane.
Yeah,
that is insane. How far away that is.
Let's see.
If you think about how quick light is,
yeah,
then you think about a year of that.
And so consider this: there are plenty of stars that are long gone and extinct that we still get the light from because that light has been traveling for so far away. How shitty would it be to be those people on that ship and be like, all right, we're going to the new planet. There's water. There's all this shit. It's the warm temperatures. Everything is right. And then you get there and it's like, no, you're like, 4 billion years late, or not 4 billion, but you're a couple thousand years, a couple 100,000 years late. This star has long gone dead.
Long gone. And if you're just finding it, like fucking, trying to find a restaurant is hard enough. You know what I mean? You're like, I swear it was this. It was 1663 and a half, or was it 16? That's hard enough, let alone trying to navigate. Like, realistically, the more I think about it, the more I think this is just off the table. Like, for me, getting to that planet where there may or may not be life forms is just completely off the table. But the other question is, if there is life on that planet, how does that change our view, like really at a fundamental level of the universe? Because most of us really think that, especially the less scientific among us, possibly even the more religious among us, think that we are the center of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
That God put human beings on Earth and He just sits there in heaven looking at us and just thinking about us all day long, and He doesn't care about anything else except.
It's a very narcissistic.
I think that's how we see God. I think a lot of us, at least, or how we've been taught. We don't. No one says in Sunday school, wherever you go to, or even just religious or otherwise. No one says like the universe is tending to God, or the universe, or whatever you think the fundamental, creating force of the universe is, tends to all the other alien life forms and cares equally about them as they care about us. I think if you were honest, most people would say that we are in some capacity the most important thing in the universe.
Well, we definitely are to us. Like I would imagine any living thing with self-awareness and the ability to think in abstract terms, whether there is or is not, to even come up with the concept of a God, right? Or to recognize the concept of a God. If there is, come up with one. If there's not, self-preservation is the first rule of life. And so I would imagine that would extend to your ideology. What am I trying to say here? The more narcissistic you are, probably the higher chance of survival. The more I'm the most important thing is a part of your mentality, the more likely you are to do what it's going to take to make sure your genes pass on to the next level. So I would imagine even if you had some other hypothetical non-human, highly intelligent being, that they would operate the same way. I think that just might be a life.
If they had the capacity of self-awareness, they could easily just be freaking bacteria or whatever.
And as to your point, I'm not sure so much that NASA is saying let's go find a planet that already has other life, as they're saying let's find a planet that is suitable to life. Because even if there's not life there, if there's nitrogen, oxygen, water, can we plant life there?
Right.
So even if there's nothing there, as long as it's a suitable environment, we can bring our own life with us.
That's if we get 40 light years away.
Yeah, well, after we figure out the 40 light years problem.
Yeah,
man, crazy stuff.
Mind-blowing stuff.
It is. I feel like it would be easier just to have like a Matrix, scenario where everyone is like locked up in a cage or whatever, just virtual reality.
A lot of scientists believe that. Some scientists say that
we're living in
a future third grade school project. There's some really wacky stuff, and it gets really crazy sometimes.
It does.
Even if Elon Musk, who actually wants to put people on Mars, that guy says the chances of us living in a reality as we know it, like where we're one person on Earth and there's another person, that we don't have our view of reality is fundamentally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He said the chances are 1 billion to 1.
Mm.
He doesn't believe in it. I don't know if he's an authority on the subject, but he's pretty smart. So I mean, there's lots of competing views. Maybe we are in the Matrix. There's a lot of that out there.
Yeah.
You never know. There's no proof that we're not.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure that we are equipped with the mental capacity to have a fully accurate view of reality.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, actually, I feel pretty confident that what reality is and how we perceive it is two very different things.
But will we never have the capacity? Do you think that reality kind of lends itself to be known at some stage? Like, is that a latent ability to know reality as it is?
I don't know, because I feel like we, or any living thing, bases its perception of reality on how well it can take that perception and use it to survive, right? So, for example, I see you or this pad of paper or this cup as a separate individual solid thing. But we know that it's not. We know it's just a bunch of little small tiny things with a bunch of space in between them that are close enough together for us to view it as one thing, right? But seeing this and you as you helps me as a biological entity to move around through life in a predictable way, right? Even if it's not 100% accurate. When I see you, I'm not actually seeing you. I'm seeing the light that reflects off of you, right? All that is great to understand how life works, but if I'm in the jungle moving around trying to hunt something, that means jack shit. Seeing the zebra as the zebra over there and that's what it is, that's far more productive to me living and surviving. And I just feel like the only aspects of reality that we'll ever get a grasp on are those that are conducive to us succeeding and living a better life. Any aspect of reality that does not somehow relate to that and better that, there's really no point to invest the time and energy to go after those things.
But then the flip side of that is your concept of a better life and succeeding. Is that even a real thing?
How so?
Well, we see ourselves as a separate entity. You see yourself as Jerome. I see myself as Liron. That's how we view the world. But is that even true? Is that true that we are separate people? That you are you and I am me?
That's definitely a question that's like bandied about, and particularly amongst like the spiritual and religious worlds. That's the idea of one overreaching consciousness that kind of manifests itself through multiple pinpoints, if you will. I can't say whether that's the case or not. I don't fucking know. But I guess what I'm saying is, let's say there's some truth about, you know, what reality is that in no way enhances our life, right? That it doesn't allow us to live longer. It doesn't lend itself to any technological advancement. It doesn't improve the quality of our health while we are alive. It doesn't increase the likelihood of our children surviving. It doesn't make food taste good or sex feel better. It does jack shit. There's really no reason to invest all the time and effort and energy into finding that out.
Why did we invest so much energy into finding out about Trappist 1?
I think because
we're never going to get that.
Well, I don't know if we can say that. Obviously, we might not get there in our lifetime.
We for sure are not going to get there. No?
Yeah. Yes, by might, I definitely mean we're not going to get there. But I think there are enough people that are concerned about the direction that we're going on this planet that feel very cynical about whether or not we'll survive on this planet, that they're like, all right, well, if we want humanity to move forward and not die out when this thing goes down the road of being fucked that we're putting it on, we better have somewhere else to go. We better find a place, and then when we find a place, figure out how the fuck to get there, right? So there's a very tangible benefit to pursuing that. There's
so far away.
It is far away, but
I'm sure people said that about landing on the moon too. You know, that's a mental construct. That's a mental construct. The idea of it being within or without a reach, being possible or impossible. I mean, theoretically, it's possible to get there. You know, but it's beyond my capacity to think of it. It just seems pointless to me to actually try and get there. It's so far away. But that's why I'm not a scientist. I'm working on this stuff.
Right. Well, I guess what I'm saying is, whether or not we have the capacity, where are we at right now? We're good. 47. Having the capacity to get there within a reasonable time versus the benefit of getting there. You know, and I guess what I'm saying is, if the options are the earth blows up, or we just fuck things beyond all fucktitude and everything's gonna die, or we figure out how to get to Trappist 1 or wherever the fuck else we find that might be suitable, that option, that plan B, as bizarre and far off as it may be, is worth, if there's a 3% chance of getting there and a 100% chance of us dying off here, it makes sense to invest into that 3% chance.
Okay, I'll buy it. I'm a big fan of the truth, so I would prefer that, you know, in 99.999% of situations, that we are told the truth by the powers that be. In this case, NASA. So I'm glad they told us. But could you see it as dangerous that we think that we have a way out of this planet Earth? That we have, fuck it, you know, we can always just go to whatever the shit is called, like, what's these planets called? Whatever these exoplanets called, GM6672 in the Aquarius constellation, right?
Right.
Do you think that out, because we were just mentioning how when you don't need something, when something isn't compelling enough, if you don't drive your car, it rusts. And if you don't need the Earth, if we don't need this, you know, the cities we live in and the countries we live in and this planet, if we think we have a way out, is that going to lead some people to start treating the Earth more like shit, treating each other more like shit, treating, you know, our environment around us with less respect, knowing that, you know what, I got this easy out on the other side.
That's an interesting point. I hadn't thought about that. It's definitely. I think it would definitely be a high probability. I had not thought about that. That's actually pretty interesting. I guess that would be very possible, possibly even probable.
Do you believe in the climate? Do you believe in climate change?
Yeah, I mean, the climate on Earth has been changing
due to human. I'm saying because of human reasons.
I certainly believe that we have an effect. Like,
yeah.
I don't know to what extent that is, or how much of that is just the natural kind of ebb and flow of things, and how much of that is what we're doing. What the percentile and of that pie is, what I don't know, but I definitely believe that what we're doing is a piece of that pie. We definitely are having some influence for sure. But so now consider this though. Let's say that we do become more blasé, right? But we find out that we have these 3 other planets and we can get there within a reasonable period of time. If we left one, that's 4 planets now that we can inhabit. We leave 1/4 on this planet. Hypothetically, we can leave Earth and we can go to those other 3 planets on TRAPPIST-1 and inhabit each one of those, right? You take 1/4 of the people and leave them here. 1/4 of the people to planet 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Would that small of a percentage of people on Earth be able to do as much damage? Like I strongly feel
within a few generations, yeah.
Eventually, perhaps, but nature has a pretty good way of coming back, right? I mean, look at just there are like cities. There was somewhere in, I want to say either the Amazon or no, it was Costa Rica, I believe, where they had found like there was like some pyramids and something that were just completely covered over, and you could walk through there and not know at all that like right under your feet was this like monument. And they only found out through like satellite imagery and all of that. They kind of could see, okay, these mounds are in a very particular shape and formation. This is very likely man-made. Pretty quickly, the Earth comes back, So
you know what I could see happening then, with 75% of the world's population gone, then the 25%, and this is fucking really negative.
Let's go.
25% of the world's population would then just be encouraged to like have as many kids as possible, just like baby boomers all over again. As many kids as possible, spread out. It's good for the economy. We need people in all these countries and all these buildings, and we need to fill up the land we have. And within a few generations, that 25% has now become 100%, and we're just back to square one.
That's true. I agree with you. And I for sure feel like we would get there. We would fill that up for sure.
Some period of time.
But consider this. If we're starting with whatever we're at 7 billion, 6 billion, 7 billion now, let's call it 8 billion, right? Let's just call it 8 billion. Mm-hmm. We cut all the way back down to 2 billion.
2 billion.
Right? We still have the same technology that we have now. Right, so we would be going down to a lower number, but maintaining the level of technology that we have, and then moving forward from there. I feel like the chances of us finding a way to expand or live without doing as much damage as within the time period that it takes to get us back to where we are now would be pretty promising. Do you see what do you want to explain that in a clear way?
No, I get it.
And then if not, hopefully by that time we'll have found some more planets.
How many? Okay, so you said 2 billion. When do you think we had 2 billion people? When do you think we hit 2 billion people?
I don't know, probably like a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah? 1927.
Seriously? Fuck.
90 years ago.
Okay.
We've increased almost 4 million people in 90 years.
Jesus Christ, dude. We like to fuck.
We like to fuck. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
Can't stop it.
Yeah, man. We're like fucking rabbits, dude.
Yeah, man. Gotta go to condomdepot.com. Free plug.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Well, do you have anything in particular that's on your mind, or anything you wanna touch on? I don't know how much further I can go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, I know. Without
talking
just
shit,
yeah.
you know.
No, I'm good. I'm gonna leave things there.
All right, man. Well, thank you for your time as always. Thank you to the audience for listening.
Thank you.
Please be sure to leave a comment in the comment section below if you have anything to say on
I'd
this.
be curious as to what people's opinions are on this planet.
This planetary
Planet hopping.
for sure. For sure. All right, you guys. See you on the next one. Peace.